Honorable Didmas Barasa, well, I would like to second, but you have other thoughts that may not run parallel to yours. But now that you've given me the honors to do that, but allow me also to speak freely. Honorable Speaker, well, this is good intention, and I like the way that Honorable Didmas Barasa said. He said a bill when it comes to the floor is a proposal, it's good ideas, and I accept. But I want to say this, that there is one thing I learned in Parliament, especially the 12th Parliament, and John Bardi, who used to be my leader then in the ODM benches, taught me, as much as you want to do legislation, please do not over-legislate. Over-legislation. This bill risks that. It risks being a bill that over-legislates. Because if you read section 11, clause 11 of the bill, we have said very many things in this bill, Honorable Didmas Barasa, very nice things. Then you come to 11 and say each employer should develop and implement a transfer policy for its employees. Yes, each employer should develop and implement a transfer policy for its employees. And now when you look at all the things that obtained from 15A, all the way, actually these are policy issues. To my best of understanding, these are just policy issues. Now, if you say that each employer should develop and implement a transfer policy for its employees, but yet in 5 you say, in effecting a transfer, the employer employer shall be taken into account. I think there's some typographic there. In effecting a transfer, the employer shall take into account, I think the B needs to be struck out, the requirements for compliance with the transfer policy of the employer, the recruitment for compliance with the criteria of transfer set by the employer, the interests of the employer, the duration of transfer where, so you talk about the requirement for compliance with the criteria of transfer set by the employer. That is actually policy already. If you say again the requirement for compliance with the transfer policy of the employer, that is policy again. So I do not know, while I support your idea, I support the idea that we need to ensure that employees are not transferred arbitrarily. They are given due consideration when transfers are done. But in terms of making statute out of such, an interesting part, which may run counter to a lot of employers, but already probably is happening, when you say in this bill, that where applicable, facilitate the employee to move to the new place of work by providing reasonable transport for the movement of the employee and his or her personal effects, probably that includes family, providing a salary advance to enable the employee to move, which would be recoverable in reasonable installments. Now, there are certain companies that actually give you transfer allowances. There are certain companies that I know that when you're being transferred, you'll be given a transfer allowance that already obtains. Now, provide reasonable transport. I want to talk about the police. When the police are being transferred, the Land Rover, the local police Land Rover takes their belongings and everything, and already takes them there. So this is a good idea. I support the Honorable Didmas Barasa, the Honorable MP that will be Governor of Bungoma, inshallah. In two things. One, we need to give dignity to transfers. When they must happen, there has to be some dignity to it. Don't just transfer somebody to punish somebody. Sometimes it is necessary to shift one person from the other if you see work is not going on well and you think, if I take this person this place, he might perform better. But it should not be punitive. Transfers should not be a measure of punishment. That one I agree with. Secondly, when transferring person, there are certain things that must be taken into cognizance. I have seen a pregnant woman who is 1 month due being transferred to a far-flung place without regard to where the closest maternity is. You know, And that is not something that we must do. Secondly, I have seen a person who is almost retiring, 6 months to retirement, and that person is being transferred to a station far flung from where he comes from. I think that is not right. I have seen transfers of very sick people. A person who is sick being transferred. I think due consideration must be made in that when you're transferring that person. And transfers in Kenya should be about building synergy, should be about transferring skills, should be about helping the organization become more efficient. Transfers should be about building more capital in terms of transfer of skills. That's what transfers should be. But I think sometimes people who are bosses bring personal feelings to jobs. And what they feel about one person or the other, not necessarily what that person produces for the organization. Because I don't relate with you well, because I don't like you, I want to transfer you, regardless of my output in the organization. I think we need to look at things differently. If we must move this country forward in terms of human capital, in terms of human capital development, then transfers should become that which enables a company to become a better organization. We have seen transfer of teachers that have been moved to a new area, and when they get to the new school, things become better in that school. That's the kind of transfer that we're looking at. We have seen transfers where a principal is not doing very well in a certain school because of the obtaining environment. But when he's transferred to another environment, he might even do better in that environment and give an opportunity to another person who comes to that new place who will even uplift the school. Those are the kind of transfers that we need to look at. And therefore, this country needs to relook at how transfer is done. But I would have argued that it can be done well in regulations and policy and not necessarily through statute. Again, we have seen, especially in provincial administration, which is currently called national government administration, we have seen where someone is doing very well, a DO or an SCC is doing very well, or a DCC is doing very well, and is actually pushing the community, and someone says, oh, probably this guy is looking for political power. And that guy gets transferred. Or is looking for popularity, and is transferred from the field and taken to Jogo to become a desk officer, killing the career of this officer completely. Some officers become threats to seniors, and the only way seniors want to do is punish that person, remove him from the area that he is very competent, and promote him to an area of incompetence, so that you kill the dream of that person. I think, Honorable Speaker, I agree with Didmus Barasa. We must bring sanity into the transfer regime of this country. So the transfers become enablers of production, enablers of performance, enablers of betterment, and not punishment, and not retrogression, and not killing dreams and careers of other officers. Honorable Speaker, I second the Honorable Didmus Barasa and wish him well, but I think at the committee level, I think we need to make amendments, drop some of these things, improve so that we make better law for the country. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Very well, honorable members, I therefore propose the question that the Employment Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 62 of 2023 be now read a second time. Member for Tigania West.
Honourable Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity to contribute to this important bill by the Honourable Didmus Barasa, Member of Parliament. Honourable Speaker, the family unit, not just in this country but the world over, is under threat. And it is important for us to note this very, very carefully, because under all circumstances, we need to protect the family unit. And this bill comes at a time when we all agree that there is need for us to bear that in mind, especially as a country